Lazerboy, what is the secret of your powers?
Welcome back, guys, to the Lazerboy podcast, episode 35, OscarMania. We combine the Oscars and Quantumania. See how clever we are. My name is the Lazerboy. We haven't seen you guys in a while. Welcome back, 3 months. And of course, here with my co-host, Stephen Best. How you doing, Stephen?
Pretty good. As always, glad to be here.
Yeah. A couple of announcements. As we said, it's been quite a while. Well, we did the box office bet, so that was a special episode. That was like a month ago. So besides that, we haven't really talked about anything going on, in recent news. So let's get that out of the way. Of course, we're going to be talking about Ant-Man the Wasp, Ant-Man the Wasp, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and the recent 95th Academy Awards, the Oscars, hence OscarMania. So first we're going to be talking about Quantumania. And before that, just want to let you guys know that you can find more of our works at thelazerboy.wordpress.com and on YouTube at The Lazerboy. Just type in The Lazerboy with a Z. Steven and I have a couple of announcements. First, MCU Kevin is 616 is kind of pretty much dead in the water. We did all we could with that. But it seems like, we weren't getting the intended engagement that we were looking for. So we're just going to leave it at that. What do you think went wrong there, Steven?
Nothing, I think it was just an accident. I think in terms of a metaphor, we were like out cruising on the highway and we hit a deer. And now, Ma, I need to borrow your knife to cut off the, what do they call it? The paw?
The hoof.
No, the hoof. The hoof. I don't know. I think, like you said, I think it was bad timing. I think it was, maybe people are starting to suffer from superhero fatigue a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We have this next upcoming year to find out because there's going to be a plethora of superhero movies.
Right.
Still on the way on TV.
Yes.
Maybe we just suck at what we do.
I don't want to. Maybe part of it is that reason. Don't sell yourself too short there, Steven. I didn't give you much to do there. I gave you some direction and some suggestions and what we should have done, but ultimately it was my idea. I said, Steven, you want to do this with me? And then I kind of just left you in the dust there, so I apologize for that. But yeah, just chalk it up to bad luck and bad timing, Marvel fatigue, and just the fact that bad timing for the fact that Phase 4 is the least received, the worst received phase in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to date.
Now, let me ask you a question, though. I think that could be because of two factors. I think that could be one because of COVID.
Sure.
I think COVID obviously had an impact on not just Marvel Studios, but every single studio out there.
Right.
But I also think that it sort of feels like after the whole first three phases that told the entire story of Thanos, the Infinity Saga, now that that's wrapped up, do you think the new films kind of feel like a denouement to that series?
Well, we talked about this numerous times in previous podcasts, but that's what phase 1 was. It was just world building. It was just building another it was like another season premiere of a new threat, of a new plot line, and we have to give it time. And you know, Marvel fans are really spoiled right now, especially because of the Infinity Saga was just so ended on such a high note. And 2020 we took a break from it, and you know, we don't have any patience. We're just an extremely spoiled fan base right now, and just
Yeah.
because we're not getting that like demand of, oh, I need to watch this now, I need to know what happens now, we think that that's because of its bad quality. But no, it's just because of that's the way you build things up again. You can't have climax, climax, climax. You need a period of rest to build it up again. And people are just not responding to this build up right now. And it's a lot of things, like you said. It's the pandemic. It's because of all these false starts. Maybe like they were prepping this, but then it couldn't get off the ground because of the pandemic. We can't blame everything on the pandemic, but it did really throw things into a tizzy, and they're just trying to find their footing again right now. And Marvel movies aren't very popular right now. It's they're still making bank at the box office, but you're looking at what the second week. Previous Marvel movies had a 30% drop off in the second week. Now it's like 60 something percent. So
Yeah.
it's a huge drop off, and that just has to do with it's not relevant. It's like we don't need to. I don't know. Yeah, it's all this content too. It's like a plethora of content, like you said. We have so much other things to watch now that's on streaming, that we don't need to keep coming back for more. You know what I mean? So that's, I don't know if I answered everything you asked me there, but would you agree with that? Or
Well, pretty well so, yeah.
but it's a lull right now. But I do believe Marvel. We love you and I love Marvel. Steven's a Marvel zombie from way back, so I think they're gonna bounce back for sure. Um, so with that said, let's get right into Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which dropped February 17th earlier this year. Is about a month ago, because it's March 15th right now. We're gonna do a little change of pace here. Steven's gonna give his thoughts first, uninterrupted, and I'm gonna give my thoughts, and then we're gonna discuss it together.
Okay.
So, Steven, let me know what your thoughts of Quantumania was.
Well, like you said, I'm a Marvel zombie, as it were. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good fun time. It was very divergent from the first two films, because obviously in the first two we spent maybe a couple minutes total in the quantum realm, and in this film we spent the entire 2 hour mark in the quantum realm,
Mm-hmm.
which is a weird place to hang out for that amount of time, unless you are under the influence of a considerable amount of substances. But I enjoyed it. I really like how they brought in Kang. Can we do spoilers? Are we spoiler free here?
Yes,
Or,
let's tell everybody spoilers for Ant-Man Quantumania from here on out. So go ahead.
okay, yeah, obviously with the first post credit scene, they introduced the whole Kang dynasty, which I think is going to be interesting. The fact that there are like 1,000 Kangs throughout time and space, that kind of gives him sort of an edge over Thanos, because there was only one Thanos, but we've got the Pharaoh Ramatut, we've got Victor Timely, we've got Kang, and all these different incarnations. And I gotta admit, I also really liked MODOK, and how they brought back the character of Daniel Cross, who was Yellow Jacket in the first film, who had been turned into MODOK, the machine organism designed only for killing.
So it's really Modofk.
MODOK, right.
But sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
Who was just a really silly character, but has been a staple villain in Marvel Comics since the early 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. Remember Iron Man 3, where it was about Guy Pearce with Aldrich Killian, who was the head of AIM,
Mm-hmm.
Advanced Idea Mechanics.
Yeah.
Initially, MODOK was a creation of Advanced Idea Mechanics.
Mm.
Um, but went on to fight. I mean, not just Iron Man, but the Hulk and the Avengers several times, and constituted the Masters of Evil. And I don't know if you ever saw the Patton Oswalt,
No, but I know he voiced them
the
in some.
animated show.
Yeah. Okay, I haven't seen it though.
It was a lot like Robot Chicken.
Mm.
Same sense of humor. But again, it was all about just like how absurd this little. He's literally a machine organism designed only for killing. Oh, it's an acronym. It's an acronym. And he's this little dude with a great big head that floats around in a mechanical chair and has a really high pitched voice. And it's like, he's a lot like Kang from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know.
Krang?
Get those turtles, Shredder!
You mean Krang?
Krang. Sorry.
Okay, cool. Do you have any more generalized thoughts on your experience, your viewing experience?
Well, I enjoyed the cast. I like Michael Douglas, and Michelle Pfeiffer has been hot since forever, and they were both good. I thought it was interesting that they brought in Cassie, that she had such a large role in it. I really do think, and we've talked about this before in previous podcasts, they're going to probably end up doing the Young Avengers at some point.
Great. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's talk more details about speculative details later in the podcast. But no, thank you for that. It's always great to have a comic book knowledge guy, offer your insights because obviously I have not read any of the comics, so I'm coming in blind. So we got kind of both perspectives here. So that's really cool. Thank you for that, Stephen. Yeah. So you know that I had fun with this movie. I love weird, wild, kind of out there, kind of big concepts like this. However, this seemed wildly underdeveloped and just kind of a mess. Um, Whereas, you talked about the first two Ant-Man films, which were very low-key, like almost indie films, high concept, but in a very kind of low stakes. They're like, here's this guy who's, going to be an Avenger, but this is his personal story, and they made it. Ant-Man was a heist film, so it was kind of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Became a little bigger than that. No pun intended, but Ant-Man Quantumania, Peyton Reed said that, the Ant-Man films have usually been kind of the palate cleanser after the Avengers, and I think they've been working like that for a reason. And when he decided to make it an Avengers movie, I think it was the wrong way to go. I don't think there's enough story there. I don't think there's enough, like, Ant-Man, his powers aren't for like a fantastical kind of epic storyline. They're more suited to be part of a team or to be like in a smaller movie. So I think he made a huge mistake in trying to do that. And also, this is really affected by pandemic stuff, like we were talking about earlier with the Phase 4 movies. They were writing this during 2020, 2021, and it felt like they just threw a bunch of ideas and like, oh yeah, that works. Let's go with that, and kind of it was still underdeveloped, even though they had like so much time to develop it. felt really underdeveloped for me. However, I did still love Paul Rudd. I love
Hmm.
his humor. That scene where he said we have 7 holes.
Right.
I am still I laugh out loud when I think back on that. We needed more of that. We needed more silly humor. The concept of the quantum realm always fascinated me, but the way they pulled it off felt like a lesser version of Rick and Morty. Like Rick and Morty does it even better, and
Yeah,
they have like
that's true.
a fraction of the budget, and they probably have a lot more writers and a lot more weird writers that smoke and do a lot of psychotropic drugs, but that's neither here nor there. And also because this is Disneyfied, it had to be like family friendly, so couldn't even they couldn't even get that weird with it. You know what I mean? They had to be family friendly weird. So it's like, why even try to go weird? It makes no sense to me. Um, Bill Murray's cameo is great. Michelle Pfeiffer, of course, we loved her. I loved her from Batman Returns, and you know, another point I wanted to make before we just get into a conversation. There's a plot line in the trailer that really made me think this is going to be a huge movie. You remember when we saw the trailer, Stephen, and we're doing the our movie wagers for the
Right.
year, and I said, "Man, I put this at number 9. This is gonna be like number 4 or 5." When I saw the trailer, I thought like Ant-Man might die. I thought, the stakes are going to be huge. Like,
Right.
there's a storyline in the trailer. He says, I could give you back your time that you lost with Cassie from the blip. And that storyline never even pops up in the movie. It was such a weird misdirect. I don't know if they like cut that storyline out or they did that to make people go see it or what, but that storyline fascinated me, and I thought this movie was gonna have like really heavy stakes. I know for an Ant-Man film that's kind of weird because it's more, the tone of those films are very lighthearted. But when I saw the
Right.
trailer, I was like, "Oh shit, they're going in a different direction. This is gonna be crazy." And then it fucking pulled its punches at the end and didn't do any of that. Spoiler: everyone survives except for Kang, right? And not that I want Ant-Man or Paul Rudd to die, but they tease something like heavy like that, and then you just kind of don't even go there. He wasn't even in any mortal danger, if I recall. You know what I mean? Like maybe he could have, both of them could have been stuck in the quantum realm, whatever, and then they would have had to rescue him in the next film or whatever. But he gets rescued. What's her name? The Wasp. What is her name? She has like 10 minutes of screen time in this film. What's her name, Steven?
Oh, Jen?
No, no, the love interest, the Wasp.
Oh, Hope Van
Hope,
Dyke.
thank you, Hope. I don't even remember that because she's barely a character in this film, and the movie's called Ant-Man and the Wasp. Do you know what I mean?
The
Oh,
last one was Ant-Man and the Wasp. This was Ant-Man Quantumania.
this is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Look it up.
Mania.
Yeah, it's her name's still in the title. So and then she has no screen time. That's my argument right there. So
You
anyway,
know
let's.
technically what Cassie's name is?
It could be too, but she's not the Wasp yet.
No,
She's still kind of.
Stinger.
Oh,
I believe it's in the comics it's Stinger.
oh, okay. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, a little bit of trivia there.
It's the ending is ridiculous. We have to fight back. All the weirdos, and then all Hank's ants. That was kind of cool. But I mean, it is an Ant-Man movie, so you got to have those giant ants come back and save the day, right?
Right.
Because ants are really smart, is what they tell you in the movie, right?
Yeah.
I don't mean to be facetious. It sounds like I'm shitting all over this movie. I had fun with it, but ultimately, yeah, it was a little bit of a disappointment for me. And Leah, let's get into some specifics here. Stephen, I wanted to ask you particularly what is yeah. They just kind of hinted at it in the stinger, but what is up with all those Kangs? Like, why does he have so many different Kangs? Is it going to be explained later in a different movie? Because I forgot if they didn't explain that in Loki, right?
Well, they started to, and I think they're going to continue to explore Kang's past and his history. Um, in the original comic books, uh, He's actually a dude called Nathaniel Richards,
Okay.
and he's from the year 3000, but he discovers time travel. And he goes back to ancient Egypt and conquers ancient Egypt, and the Fantastic Four show up and try to stop him. But like in all the great original Stanley Jack Kirby comics, the diabolical villain.
Okay.
The heroes win. They save the day, but the diabolical villain still continues to persist and go on and
Right.
make madcap villainous plans of
Nice.
vicarious villainy.
Uh-huh.
But
That's what I. No, go ahead.
Well, as the story goes on and progresses, though, it mentions stuff, and you heard like chaos theory or the butterfly effect, and getting into like what Phase 4 kind of did with the whole multiverse thing, where there is this theory that any decision that you make in life has the potential to create an alternate universe.
Yeah.
Or like every time that Kang travels back in time, because and again, they actually kind of got into this theory.
They explained that in Loki.
In-game,
no, they explained that
stone?
They explained that in great detail in Loki, and I feel like this is such a really confusing concept for the average moviegoer. I feel like you need that Loki. Remember in Loki they had like that kind of like the PSA before they went into the time authority thing.
A little bit, yeah.
I think they need that before every movie that deals significantly with the multiverse. You know what I mean? They need to plug it in there somehow. Or like, they do like a previously on. I think they need to do that for each movie that deals with the multiverse now. Because it is getting really mind-boggling, and I guess you need the previous knowledge. Yeah. Well, besides people like you need people like me who just watch the movies. You need that, I guess that's what the shows are for. But I'm not going to watch like 10 multiverse shows before every movie that deals with the multiverse. You need something really quickly for people. Maybe even like a YouTube video. Maybe you'd be like, hey, watch this video before you watch the movie, kind of thing. But but yeah, I wanted to talk about real quick Kang. I love the idea of I didn't even mention him in my little rant there, but the idea that this is like the most dangerous Kang, that they needed to isolate him in the quantum realm, was fantastic. But it felt like such a different movie because that is like some grim shit, and then to put it in a movie that's just so kind of lighthearted. Felt really off to me. Felt like he was in a completely different movie.
Yes.
So like I felt like I love Jonathan Majors and his portrayal. I just feel like he should have introduced them in a more serious movie. You know what I mean? Because I felt his threat, but then again I didn't because it was kind of washed away by all the silliness. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. When do you think Kang will show up again, and in what incarnation?
I think we could see some sort of appearance as soon as Loki season 2.
Which has actually kind of,
as far as like the council is concerned,
right. Well, Loki season 2 has actually been delayed, so
really?
it's not coming out as planned. It's going to be in November.
I don't think we're going to see much of Kang and Guardians. I think it's going to focus more on closing out their trilogy.
Sure.
And I think Adam Warlock is going to be the bad guy who becomes the good. This is my guess. The bad guy in the movie that becomes the good guy that goes on to become part of the new Avengers.
Okay, nice.
After the Guardians fly out into the proverbial sunset.
Yeah, so I don't think we're going to see Kang until like November because Secret Invasion is going to be more,
Scroll based, yeah.
Yeah, and more kind of based in Earth, right? So, and what's the other MCU? Captain Marvel? Do you
Uh,
think?
the
Oh,
Marvels,
the
yeah.
Marvels. Do you think he's gonna make an appearance in that, or
I don't know. You never know.
yeah, you never
I mean,
know.
he could.
Yeah, I mean, that is a fantastical, more fantastical based MCU character. So who knows?
Well, I was reading an article online, and I forget it was Variety, I think, maybe Entertainment Weekly, about a week or so back, where it was saying that Marvel movies were one of the reasons they're kind of losing touch is because, like, with the multiverse, it's gotten so fantastical.
right.
Um, because we're so used to seeing superhero movies based in the real world. I mean, Tony
Yeah,
Stark
right.
was
Yeah,
a billionaire, playboy, philanthropist who got blasted by one of his own weapons and had to build the Mach 1 suit in order to survive. Captain America took the super soldier serum. Really, the weirdest character was Thor
right. Yeah, he
in the
was
very beginning.
exactly.
But now we're getting into Marvel's cosmic phase,
I see. Yeah,
where and again, if you get into the comics, I mean, later on, we've kind of gone from like the first three phases were the 60s, and now we're in the 70s and 80s. And the Doctor Strange and the Silver Surfer and some of the titles do get pretty weird.
okay. Makes sense. Yeah, we are kind of losing touch with reality here, so to speak,
Oh, I know I am every day, more and more so.
and the audience is losing. They're losing the audience as well. So let's see if they can right, course correct that ship. Um, so yeah, looking forward. What's next? Guardians is the
Guardians,
Guardians
yeah.
3. Secret Invasion. It was supposed to be Loki, but I believe Echo might replace that, which I'm not looking forward to. It's just a tertiary character from oh, bless you, from Hawkeye
Thank you.
there.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
was she was fine as a like a B C plot in another show, but to have her own show, come on now, uh, I'm not on board with that. Yeah, okay, so okay,
Well, she kicked Daredevil's ass a couple of times.
sure, yeah, I like her again, like as a villain or a tertiary secondary character. I don't know if she demands
Right,
her
right.
own spin-off, but again, it's just the money
Yeah,
cash
Thunderbolts
grab.
probably would have been a better fit.
Okay. Okay, before we move on, I wanted to we were gonna do well, we still are, but we're gonna do an official halfway mark of the check-in of our box office bets. But I had Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania around like the 8 or 9, and now I'm kind of questioning putting it on there because I don't
On the
think it's
list at all, yeah.
yeah. What are you having regrets? Because I know you placed it kind of high there.
I have no regrets,
No
Joseph.
regrets.
I have no regrets. Um, no, I should change the list around a little bit. Actually, I had it at number 8.
Oh, okay. I think I had an 8 or 9. So,
Yeah.
at the moment, against the $200 million but $200 million budget, it has grossed 450 million worldwide. So I don't think it's gonna crack the top 10. Who? How could we? How could we have seen that? So again, based on the trailer, I thought it was gonna be a little bit bigger than the previous two Ant-Man films, but I was so wrong, Steven. As they say in the movie, we were so wrong. Oh, all right. Oh yeah, the yeah Modofk. I love that too. So it's really Modofk,
Right.
mechanized organism designed only for
For
killing.
killing.
Only for killing. It's Modofk. Idiot. Yeah, that was a dumb the way he died too. Don't be a dick.
At least I got to die an adventure.
It's like, yeah, sure, buddy.
Right. You're an
Yeah, you're an
Avenger.
Avenger. Yeah, he's dying. Just let him think that. Why not? Uh, yeah, it's not my favorite MCU entry, but Ant-Man's always fun. So if I'm in a bad mood, there's nothing wrong with popping in an Ant-Man film, right?
It's a good rainy day movie.
Yeah, sure. Um, but not top tier MCU. And that is that. That is our, I guess, our review of Quantumania. Okay, another kind of epilogue here. Where do they go from here with Ant Man? Do you make more Ant Man films? What do you think? Steven, are you still there?
That's a good question. I'm thinking about it.
I mean, they left it open. He's still alive. You said his daughter
Really?
Cassie Stinger could be part of, the new Avengers, new class of Avengers. I think a lot of millennials and Gen Xers are going to be against that. Like, no, we don't want the new generation. We like the OGs. So, but of course, for the Gen Zs, we need the new faces, the young characters in there. I personally would like to see them kind of make up for this film. So I wouldn't mind, So that's just my thought. I love me some Scott Lang. I love me some Paul Rudd. So
Right.
I might be a little bit biased there, but
Well,
um,
it's also, and I'm going to geek out for a little bit here, but it occurred to me, in the first Avengers movie, it really showed how the team coalesced on the helicarrier, how they really came together, and the helicarrier was their base of operations,
mhm,
right?
yeah,
But then the helicarriers were all destroyed in Winter Soldier
right,
when Cap took them down fighting Bucky. So in Age of Ultron, Stark Tower, or it's now Avengers Tower, is kind of the headquarters. And then they build Avengers Compound in upstate New York. But there was also the Avengers Mansion. And that's where, like, all the old school, it was kind of like Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. That's where all the old school, like, OG Avengers, like Thor and Hulk, would hang out. And
this is all from the comics, right?
yeah,
Okay, so you're just speculating.
I'm kind of just speculating that we might see like the Avengers Mansion,
Okay,
where
nice.
they introduce a new team. Um, Again, I was looking online and nothing's been confirmed because Marvel is so hush hush with this stuff. But it was fan art with a great big scene. Where in the middle of the battle, it was Namor fighting Kang, and it looked pretty sweet, and I could imagine that scene in like the next in the Avengers Kang Dynasty.
Okay, nice. Because Namor is on the side of Wakanda now, right? They're allies. I forgot, but if
Right.
I remember correctly, yeah,
You've got Black Panther and She Hulk and Moon Knight and Doctor Strange and everyone else in the background kicking ass.
nice. And we got Wongers too. He's still watching. He's still binging.
Yeah.
He's still binging The Sopranos there. So, um,
Right.
okay, so cool. Before we move on, just want to shout out Ant Man. And does anybody have any orange slices? So it's
Yes.
a
You need the
throwaway line.
citrus.
The citrus.
You need
I love.
citrus.
I
You
love
need
that
the
they.
citrus.
Yeah, I love that they do call back to that. And when Cassie asked, is there any? Yeah, is there any citrus? Anybody have any limes?
I can eat all the food.
Right. Uh, See, that's why I love it. But again, they needed a better story. But maybe next
Yeah.
time.
The one thing that I missed the most was Michael Pena.
Oh yes, yeah, and the whole
Who
group
just
of
stole the show with
yeah,
the first two when he did
right,
like the voiceover bits.
yeah. He's like yeah, and then my friend, and then like the way he
He went into the quantum realm and he got shrunk down really, really small, right? And he
yeah.
had to fight this guy with the purple face and Kang, okay?
Would have loved like a stinger with him showing up.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah,
mariachi band.
in his van. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I miss. At least we got Randall Park though. He had a cool cameo in the beginning. Yeah,
Yes, he did.
yeah. I love anything that when we're in San Francisco, man. When he's doing the Baskin Robbins. Thank you, Spider
Yeah,
Man. Like,
yeah, Ruben. Wait a minute, you're not Spider-Man. You're Bugman. You go big and small and big and small. That's $12 for your coffee.
right. Yes, because that's familiar, and it's it's we
Although
like that.
Baskin Robbins, they make an Baskin Robbins Employee of the
All
Century.
right, the only variant of Scott that was at the Baskin Robbins.
Yes.
That was funny. And then what's the deal? Okay, I don't want to get into like all these plot holes of why humans are down there, but maybe you can explain that to me another time because we're running out of time here. Okay, let's talk about before I run out of saliva. I gotta drink some soda here real quick. Well, not real quick, but yeah. What are your thoughts on the Oscars, Steven? We're moving on here.
Oh man, I thought overall it was a pretty good show.
Yeah.
Um, it seemed to go off without incident,
Yes.
if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Slapgate.
Yeah. Uh,
I love that terminology for it. By the way, Slapgate. The fuck. But sorry. Go on.
I no, I mean I enjoyed the show for what it was worth. Um, like we were talking about earlier, that this last weekend I did try to catch up on as many of the movies as I possibly could, and went back and watched Everything Everywhere and The Fableman, All Quiet on the Western Front. Um, I thought overall it was a good show. Um, I thought the movies that were nominated were decent films.
Mm-hmm.
But I try not to invest that much in the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
I try not to let it be the be all do all of like it's all about picking. Well, we're talking about art, and art is subjective. And I guess the difference is, I mean, yeah, they've got votes that they tally based that the Academy turns in, but again, that's opinion based. It's not like the Super Bowl or March Madness where a team is actually scoring a numerical set of points.
Mm-hmm.
So, you obviously you're going to agree with some categories, you're going to disagree with others. I like how some people, like, you go on Facebook the night of the show or the day afterwards, and people are getting like verbally angry and upset
Right.
because whatever movie they wanted didn't win that category. But like again, like I've said before, if you're gonna bet on the Oscars, you can't choose your personal favorite films. You have to go with what you think the Academy is going to vote for based on that year's politics.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when it comes to politics, I can't tell you what's going on in Washington right now. I have no idea what's happening in the District of Columbia. But I kind of have a grasp on politics and how much every studio spends as far as their annual marketing campaign. And, you look at the other thing is like, you have to look at other awards and, like who got the BAFTA, who got the SAG, who got the Golden Globe. True story, because I've tried. You can't bet on any of the awards ceremonies in Vegas because they can't cover the spread.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, it was a good show. I think Jimmy Kimmel was a pretty good host.
Yeah. Cool. No.
And most of the movies that I saw, I enjoyed.
Right. Yeah. You did your homework. You watched most of the movies. I did not. Um, I pretty much
Again, dude,
echo
you don't watch the nominated movies. You don't read the comics. You just go into these things like a child that walks into a movie theater. Joseph, you have no context of what's occurring around you. Sorry,
I
that was
get
a little harsh.
I get no argument. Nope. You're right. No, I feel pretty much the same way though. I feel like I don't have much invested in the Oscars. I never when Social Network didn't win, I thought that was like the movie of the decade, if not like the century. I was really mad, and I was like, I vowed never to be that invested in the Oscars again. So that was what 13 years ago.
You want to know what
Um,
got it for me? And I will remember this. I remember Oscar night 1998. Do you remember what won Best Picture?
Shakespeare in Love
Yeah,
over Saving Private Ryan. Yeah, I hated that too.
Saving Private Ryan.
Okay, but let me finish my thoughts real quick. Yeah, man, I didn't see a lot of the nominated films, but I also know that it's not really about the quality of films. It's not really about what is objectively the best film, which you can never measure anyway. Like you said, it's all subjective. It's all based on opinions of the Academy members. But I do, and I didn't really realize this until, maybe I was in my 30s, but I do realize that I respect the people who have great campaigns because again,
Yeah.
it's all like money, it's all schmoozing maybe. A lot of
Hmm.
it has to do with that. But at the same time, they're putting the effort in there to get their picture, their actor, their director, whoever, their producers, a prestigious award, so they're doing the due diligence, they're doing the dirty work, whatever, what have you, and they win. It's all about it's politics, it's schmoozing, it's super PACs. I don't even know what that means. I learned that in House of Cards. Um, but
Well, you're very right, though. I mean, that's a very accurate,
right,
I
it's
think,
a
way to describe the
yeah,
process.
it's just yeah, it's you just schmooze people. But no, I thought it was a good ceremony. I was just like kind of dozing in and out last year, and then the Slapgate happened, and I was like, holy shit, that was crazy. But nothing too outrageous happened this year. I'm still, I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once after the Oscars, which is probably a bad thing to do because all my friends were like, "Oh man, you're gonna like probably gonna be too overhyped for you now, and it's gonna be a disappointment." And in a way, it kind of was because it was a bit all over the place for me, and I'm still confounded as to how it won all those Oscars because the Academy typically does not vote for a film like this. You
Yeah,
know what I
like I
mean?
said when we talked beforehand, it's not your average.
Yeah, and I think it's a combination of, the relevance of A24. It is A24 really produces like what I like to call, I read this in an article, vibe first films. Like it's all about mood over, a high concept
Yeah,
or dialogue or acting or plot. It's all about the concept and the vibe. A24 really is a front runner studio that produces films like that, and this is no different. And couple that with the fact of inclusion and diversity, which is fine. Me being Asian American, I couldn't help but be extremely proud of all those Asian actors winning. Asian faces winning director, producer, supporting actor, supporting actress. It was very heartwarming for me. Um, but again, yeah, watching the film after, I just was like, how did it win? Um, it sounds like I'm kind of like didn't really like the film. I feel like it's very confounding and confusing, but I do think the overall message of the film, it's pretty much like Matrix for your mother. You know, it's
yes,
your mother's Matrix. I don't know if it's your mother's a
yeah.
Matrix for your mom, a mama's Matrix, and ultimately it's about the
Look, Mama,
your
this is what
mamas,
Mama's
your
business.
mama. But no, it's basically about the relationship between the generational conflict and the conflict and the relationship between a mother and a daughter. And I found that very heartwarming. I relate to that very much, especially being, a millennial English
Yeah.
language first Asian American that
Well,
struggles to
like you
relate
said,
with
yes,
my mother.
as a poor Asian American lesbian girl.
Yes, that's exactly what I am. Thank you so much for pointing that out, Stephen. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I related to that dynamic and that relationship very deeply. So throughout all that confusion and throughout all this seemingly shit talking that I'm putting on the movie, I found it very touching, and
It was. It was. I mean,
that's what it's ultimately about. Through all the smoke and mirrors, that's all that the kung fu stuff, all the multiverse stuff is just toppings. It's to get people's attention and to kind of confuse you, but
seeds on the bagel,
the
Joseph.
right the everything bagel yeah, but it's all the foundation is there, and that's what makes the film work. And maybe I think that's why it got so much
Well, I think the
prestige
message of
and
the film
praise.
is, I mean, like you said, it's a story about a mother and a daughter. It's a story about a family on rough times coming together, and I think the message is just sort of, um, there's a great quote by Aristotle: "Everyone is fighting a personal battle, but you will never know," or something to that effect. So it's just like, be kind. Why can't we all just get along?
Sure.
The fact that uh, I really did like the scene in the end where Jamie Lee Curtis shows up at the laundromat, and Huey Kwan goes and basically says, "Look, we're not actually legally divorced," and so she gives him another week. But then they're sitting outside, and it's like, "Look, this is because my husband, when he gave me the papers for my divorce, and oh, look, for as terrible as it is, we found something that we have in common.
Yeah.
For as much as it hurts, here's something that we have in common. And at least we don't have hot dogs for fingers." That was really
Right.
gross.
Yeah. Before we get into all the weird stuff, yeah, we're still on this the topic of what we related to the most. I want to go back to the Joy character. I relate to Joy. Obviously, I'm the child, um, and her counterpart, the Jobu Tupaki, her like the villain
Yes,
that hates
yes.
everything. I love this quote I'm reading from Screen Rant here. It's of course I had to look this up. I had to look for an explainer because I had to because I'm too stupid to come up with the ideas on my own. But here's what it says about Jobu Tupaki being able to embody any version of joy without having to perform any of the alpha verse tricks that others had to do to verse jump. The way they had to eat a
Right.
chapstick or had to do paper cuts between each fingers, which still made me cringe in pain because I hate paper cuts. But this is a direct metaphor. I'm still quoting here. This is a direct metaphor. Joy having to perform Joy having not having to perform any of the Alphaverse tricks is a metaphor for the overwhelming nature of modern society, where so much global events, social media, societal issues, and personal life struggles demand attention. Um, Jobu Tupacu's mind is split in that way, being pulled in so many wildly different directions to the point that it gets to be too much. It's pretty much saying, it's our generation, right? We have so many, the social media, politics, world issues, all of this shit just weighs on us so much that we don't, it just weighs on our attention, on our mind, on our life, that we just say, fuck it. We're just like, we just want it all to end. There'll be no more pain. And I love that. I love that explanation of that metaphor. I didn't really think too hard of it at the time when I was watching it because I was especially the first time you watch it, you're just trying to grasp the plot of how does this all work, right? So you don't really get to see any of what this means or what's this metaphor for that. And I love that explanation, and it really hit home for me. Um, yeah, what do you think about that, Stephen?
No, I think it's a good one. I think it's representative of like how In the beginning, there's sort of the motif of the mirror that gets fractured.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of, we're looking through this lens that's been fractured. It's all our senses have been split into pieces.
Right. It's so fascinating too that like other generations don't see that. Of course, Evelyn is like, why are you like that? Because she was raised in a different generation. And
Right.
all that stuff doesn't weigh as much on her because she can tune it out because she's used to that. And then when she finally kind of gets to the level of Joy, she can finally empathize with her, and then Joy can empathize with her mother, and it's just so interesting how you can see how perspective. It's just a matter of perspective, right? As
Well,
James.
I love how when they finally do meet, and it's like she's basically still Michelle Yeoh is still basically in her house coat,
Mm-hmm.
and Joy has got these great costumes that look like she just walked out of a K-pop music video.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, Michelle Yeoh's like, why are you dressed so stupid?
Nice reference, by the way. Thank you for that. Yeah, yeah. This movie is so weird. All the costumes and the different iterations of their versions. Like the two rocks was one of my favorites.
Right, yeah.
I don't think a lot of people get this too, but the Wong Kar Wai version of like her and what's the Ki Hui Kwan's character in the movie called again? Wayman. Oh, Raymond or Wayman? Wayman, right?
Women,
Yeah,
yeah.
Wayman. How like they meet at the at like the premiere of her movie or something,
Right,
and then
right.
he looks like straight out of a Wong Kar Wai movie. He's all dressed up, all dapper with
Looks,
his horn rimmed glasses, and then you see that like the that like strobe slow motion effect of like everything else is moving but except them, and everything's kind of blurry. That's a Wong Kar Wai cinematic aesthetic. So like when I caught that, I was like, holy shit, they're referencing Wong Kar Wai too. Like this movie has everything. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
wow. Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to fully appreciate it on on a rewatch, but I think I definitely watched it at the wrong time because I put too much. I was like, show me something. I was watching it with my arms crossed, saying, why are you Best Picture? And it doesn't deserve to be seen like that. You know what I mean? So, anything else you want to mention about the film, or anything else about the Oscars?
No, I think we covered it. I mean, like I said, I
Um,
enjoyed it. I think it was a worthy film because it was very innovative. But I mean, it also I could see how it may have been too avant-garde for a lot of people.
yeah.
You know what was interesting is in the very first Academy Awards ceremony, which I think was in 29,
Mm-hmm.
it was a lot. It was much more similar to the Golden Globes because they had two categories for director and they had two categories for best picture.
Mm.
And the way that it was split was like best picture, and you have correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe was F.W. Murnau's Sunrise and Howard Hughes' Wings.
Oh, nice.
But the two categories were best picture and artistic achievement, which Murnau won for Sunrise, and then like best outstanding feature with which Hughes won for um, Wings. And what it basically came down to was which movie which was the most commercially successful and which was the most critically successful.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's interesting because I thought well, it would be interesting if they went back to that system in this day and age,
Yeah.
because again, you have movies like Top Gun or Avatar that attract such a different audience
Yeah.
from movies like Everywhere
Yeah.
or
Yeah, but those movies that you mentioned towards the end, those typically win for like the technical achievements, right? Like Avatar
Yeah, like
1,
sound
special
design,
effects.
special
Yeah,
effects.
Top Gun 1 sound, I think. No love for Babylon. Babylon. I don't know if we talked about it, but I loved Babylon. I know it didn't. It was a box office bomb. Maybe could have been overly ambitious, but I loved
Yeah.
it. Uh, I don't think it won. It could have, should have won costume design or any something, but I think All Quiet on the Western Front won that, which I still haven't seen. Would you recommend that film? All Quiet.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I read the book in high school, and the book
Oh yeah,
was
same here. It
was
was a
really bad.
required reading, right?
It was when I was in high school. Yeah,
We're roughly the same age, Steven.
I was just gonna say it should have been for you too.
Yeah, it is. It was. And Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies, To Kill
Uh,
a Mockingbird.
yeah. Ooh. Oh yeah, I told you I saw The Whale last night and promptly started to diet, even though.
Yeah,
So I that's not ultimately the message of the movie, but the message I got. So hopefully it saves me. I'm not that obese, but hopefully this saves me from becoming that in the future. Um, but no, great performances in that film. Hong Chow is one of my favorites. Obviously Brendan Fraser. Did you know? Oh, you haven't seen it yet, but I don't know. I might not want to spoil. I'm not going to spoil it for you because I want you to find out on your own who the other kid is. See,
okay.
I won't spoil it for you. Yeah, yeah. Fuck that. I was going to, but nah. It'll be more fun for you to figure that out on your own. What else did you see that was Oscar nominated? You said All Quiet,
Hmm.
Fablemans. Did you see The Banshees of Inisherin?
I did not see that
Okay,
one.
yeah, me neither. Um, yeah, I don't think I saw any.
Saw Avatar, saw Wakanda Forever, saw Top
Right,
Gun.
yeah. Obviously, we saw. Yeah, I saw Wakanda Forever. I saw Top Gun. I saw what's it called too? Turning Red. So
Okay.
yeah, Turning Red was fun. I like that a lot. All right, so if that's, I think that should wrap it up here for us. Thank you so much, Stephen, for joining me on this podcast. Hopefully, it's not one of our last, but we will see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my pleasure as always.
All right, guys. Until the next time, you can find more of our works at thelazerboy.wordpress.com and type us in YouTube at the Laserboy. And stay tuned for our midpoint check-in of the 2023 box office wagers. We're gonna check in to see where we're all at. Where do you see yourself so far right now, Steven? I think Ant-Man only came out, right? Did you have anything else that's coming out soon that we can check in on or?
Well, what do I got? Yeah, well, a lot of movies that are. Yeah, I mean, well, I think the number one movie that I put was Super Mario Brothers.
Oh right, yeah, you and Chris. So that's coming out in a month, like 2 weeks. So
And
we'll
then after that, it's a veritable avalanche of.
right, a veritable who's who of releases, right, including Guardians and other summer movie blockbusters.
Yeah, Mission Impossible,
Yeah, Mission Impossible. Yeah, cool.
the Fast X,
Fast X. Yep.
the Little Mermaid.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So until then, guys, we're probably gonna record that in August. So expect to hear back from us then. Thank you, guys. Thank you again, Steven.
Thank you.
Can you roll us out with the Laser Boy bumper?
Lazerboy, what is the secret of your power?
Nice. All right. Thanks again, guys. See you later.
Like dove, a deer, a female deer, ray, a drop of golden sun. Me, my name, I call myself, far, a long way to run.